Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 447, and today we're doing battle with Norra Freylord. And so the Norra Freylord deck, this is something we made mention of on our 5 to try decks in the Eternal format, and it's one that I've been quite pleased with how it's turned out. And so if you're not familiar with the kind of general idea with Norra Freylord in the past, this was a deck that was typically played as something like Norra Braum. But the big and main selling point of the deck is you have this big portals package, and so you have pretty much all of the portals cards in the game between Norra and the Junk Construct and the Portal Palooza is the big ones. The Portal Scholar is the new guy on the block, and then the Tea Maker is the one that you don't always see running around. But you can make these units exceptionally powerful with the usage of Spirits Unleashed, so all of your randomly generated units are going to be getting +1/+1. The idea with this is it becomes exceptionally challenging for your opponent to just kind of overcome the amount of stuff you're throwing at them. If you thought it was, kind of easy and easy enough to remove a 2/2 and then a randomly generated 2/3, as you would often see with a Junk Construct into a random unit, now that your opponent's dealing with a 3/3 into a 3/4, the amount of resources they have to sink into removing all of these units becomes incredibly tough to deal with. And so that has been the kind of main course that this deck was running with over the past 3 or 4 months or so. But we do have some new exciting additions with the releases of the new sets and the variety patch coming out. And so the first thing I like to call out with this is we've now included Warden of the Tribes, and I feel like this fills in a space this deck was always kind of missing. And the thing that Warden of the Tribes really adds to what you're doing here is it doesn't take a spell to make all of your units better. So your opponent can't deny your Warden of the Tribes stats. They can't Avenging Vastaya the stats. You play the Warden of the Tribes, you're going to get the stats. And so that's a distinct difference from what you used to see when you were trying to resolve your Spirits Unleashed or resolve a big Field Rush or whatever. Your opponent could interact with it. Much more challenging to interact with the Warden of the Tribes. The other thing I like to call out with him is we only have 2 subtypes in our deck. We have Norra as a Yordle. I think there may be one other Yordle. Portal Scholar is not a Yordle anymore. We can stop talking about that. But it's just that and fairies. And so we may, over the course of the game, generate another random subtype through the use of the portals. If we don't, that's okay. Giving out +2/+2 to all of our units is enough. Anything on top of that is just extra gravy on the sandwich. And so the Warden of the Tribes looking quite good there. We did make note of the Portal Scholar. This calls out the next update that we saw in this set to where the Portal Scholar is now a fairy. And so with the addition of the Portal Scholar being a fairy, he can now be cheapened up with the likes of Gleaming Lantern. And so this will give us a lot of really fast curves to where we can just slap a ton of stuff on the board. The Grandfather Fae and the Junk Construct become free. The Owlcats generated from the Grandfather Fae become free. The Tea Maker costs 1 mana and the Portal Scholar costs 2 mana. And so as the formats get faster and faster and faster, as more cards are added in, that's what we're going to continue to see with Eternal. The Gleaming Lantern lets us kind of keep up with that pacing, in that it makes the rest of our units cheaper. Very powerful addition here. Now, the way that we're kind of concerning ourselves with the meta, or the things that we're seeing a ton of right now, are Action, and then we're seeing a ton of Zoe. And so with Zoe in mind, we're out here playing a fairly large package of early game pings. So we have the 3 Pokey Sticks, the 2 Pie Tosses, and the 2 Group Shots as a way to come down and try and get Zoe off the board before she can attack or before she really gets close to flipping. And then with the Action decks, we don't get to play any real weapon removal in this style of deck. Excuse me, but Group Shot can get big enough to take action off the board. Pie Toss can do it very slowly, and then Troll Chant can be used to really just slow down the combats. So the last card I really want to be calling out here is going to be the Pack Mentality. This is the kind of wild card in the deck, if you will. A nice throwback to the days of Expedition, and what we'll really see with this deck is you run out of time just needing units, right? It's very easy to flood the board between all of the portals and all of the unit generation, but those units aren't necessarily good at dealing damage to the opponent. Even if we've been able to stick a Warden of the Tribes or stick a Spirits Unleashed, if we're attacking with a bunch of 4/4s and 5/5s, our opponent can still just block with their small unit and we don't get to deal any damage. So the Pack Mentality can come in, grow our entire team, and give everybody +2/+2, and it's a nice finisher in a deck that can struggle depending on the units it's RNG'd onto the board. And so that's the deck. That's what we're doing battle with today. I checked in on that pay-to-win price, and we're all paid up. The only person in here not premium is the Portal Scholar, and it's an epic, so, you know, we'll let that one slide. All right, into battle, up against Ryze Noxus. I'm a little worried about this one. We don't have too many ways to really interact with the Ryze. We can potentially knock him off the board with with the Three Sisters, but this is a scarier matchup in my opinion. It's kind of interesting how the matchups line up for this style of deck. Like the aggro decks, all pretty good. The mid-rangey decks are all pretty good, and then there's a real kind of like divider in the space of the control decks, to where if they're trying to be slower than us, they just annihilate us, and then if they're trying to be around the same speed, then we can kind of go toe-to-toe with all of our card advantage. But it's kind of wild how some of these things will end up playing out. But with this, not in a huge hurry. I think we're going to try and get Norra down this turn. If we take it just a little bit slower, we can protect her with Troll Chant. I'm not entirely certain what removal is going to be coming out of this deck. Like, none of the burst speed removal should really be enough to take her off of the board. Things like Calling Strike can clearly do it, but I wanted to give her a little bit more of a shot with the Troll Chant sticking around. We'll start to pop off with the Spirits Unleashed after this.
Power changes everyone.
All right, big Ryze coming on board. A little scary. We don't have great answers to him. What do we got? We're getting the bros on board though. That's for certain. I think we can drop Spirits Unleashed. I'm getting like a little confused in terms of thinking of playing against the Ionia deck and like having to worry about Spirits Unleashed getting denied. And so it's got me a little thrown off guard. I'm not entirely certain what's coming out of the Noxan half of this deck. But pretty meaty collection of dudes on board. Got mana back for a Troll Chant if he decides to block. Let's see what we can do. What's this guy activating? 1-0 for each ephemeral ally you have? We don't have any of those. Those ephemerals aren't going to be part of our team today. Sure. Fought hard. You fought valiantly, Portal Scholar. No longer with us. Alright, dude still hasn't played any runes. A little worried, you know. Here they come. So, do we want to fight through this? It's not unreasonable to let the unit just go away. I think I'm fine to still just Troll Chant though, so we aren't like RNGing into needing to have an attacking unit next turn. And if he drops another one, we can do the same thing.
Warrant the end of reason.
Gets a little bit of heal. Say no thank you, man. No. No killing off my little friends today. It is kind of a bummer. Maybe we should have let that one fall so we could still drop the T-Maker this turn. Try and spike a portal next turn, but it's tough. Well, we got that one portal in there. So if he ends up playing another shard here, that will kill off this 3-1 junk construct, and then we can try to pokey stick his face and see if we can't spike a portal off of this. So I'd say the game realistically is probably just done at this point, but we got a couple of angles of attack, and he's not going to be particularly excited about getting his Ryze involved in combat. So we hit a lantern and no portals. Real bummer. Real bummer. So we'll see. As it stands, he has to block one of these units or he's going to get lethaled. Oh, brutal. Brutal. Alright, well, we can still at least try and take this sentry off of the board. I was hoping that we would be able to get him, like, just low enough to finish this game off with a pie toss, but I gotta assume that we're just pretty close to dead here. Still keep going for it. Sometimes this dumb deck just doesn't have it, so... We'll send in the squad. Holy shit, they didn't even kill off this sentry?
No savior.
What happened there? Oh, he killed one of our units, so it only dealt 1 damage. Oh, that's brutal. That's bad.
Enough! This cannot stand!
Alright, let's see if we're dead. We got 4 cards in hand at the moment. Nice collection of bros coming into party. It's just the real struggle here is probably not even able to get a lethal next turn, and so...
If Acadia is gone, perhaps their debt is paid.
That would just be the absolute disaster if we luck it out here and he just doesn't have the lethal, then going into next turn and him being able to prevent this from winning. It's tough. Alright. Looks like that's gonna be enough to do it. GG. Right, on to the next one. Ryze is one of those weird decks. I think it's a horrifically bad ladder deck. Typically, whenever you see it in terms of ladder stats, it's at like 50-50 at best. Typically, it has like a 45% win rate, but it's a very interesting best of 3 choice to where that's the place you typically see it outside of people just trying to meme it up pretty hard. And it's just one of these decks that just gets absolutely steamrolled by anything aggro. Like its matchup against Pirates is like 70-30 in Pirates' favor. But if you're trying to do anything mid-rangey or anything a little bit slower, then it just has such fantastic matchups in that space. All right, into the next one. Here, this is the Shadow Isles version of the Zoe deck. It can be a little bit more painful in the sense that if they have the answer to our turn 2 Norra, it's a real pain in the butt. But we'll still take a mulligan here, hang on to the Norra, see if we can't find an answer to Zoe, and then try and pop off from there. So we got everything we wanted. Just as we drop Norra, she gets hit by literally every removal spell, be it Quietus or be it Calling Strikes, whatever. Holy shit. There's my surprise for the day. Did not expect Norra to get through for a portal. And this is fine. Good job, Norra. We're all proud of you. Alright, there's a youngling we don't care about. I'm kind of interested in dropping Spirits Unleashed next turn. Like, it's especially compelling if we do manage to top deck a fairy, or if we hit the portal. But we'll just have to kind of see what turns up. Harsh Winds was not a hit. I guess the other kind of angle here is we do have 2 Norras. And so if we have the 1 Norra and then he has a removal spell, we could still play the 2nd Norra and potentially come in for a second portal. It's always nice to have your Norras stick, but we're really just out here trying to grind out card advantage. So if he has to drop another Fallen Star onto Norra, that's going to be, basically 2 cards to our advantage. Sure. We'll wait till next turn to play an additional one. I'd like to get the Spirits Unleashed off first. Oh, getting Zoe with the Spirits is big game. That's big game right there. We're not playing low game out here today, but snapping off the spell we wanted to cast anyways as soon as Zoe hits the board. That was a delight. Norra doesn't die to Quietus now either. Alright, let's see what we can do. So we can drop the Norra. I'm a little bit tempted to go into next turn and just see if we can't pokey stick and draw a unit first before we drop the Norra on the board. Just gonna give him a little bit more time to react to units that aren't Norra. Try and get another card out of her. This dude's always slightly awkward. The volunteer Elnick putting not not cards we really want on top of our deck.
We were peaceful once.
All right, delightful pokey stick target. See if we can't draw this other portal. Probably just gonna hit some Elnick, right? Bull Elnick incoming. Not so much. Not so much, I guess. Still looking fine. And we're getting, reasonably built into one of these pack mentalities. I don't want to come in and just throw away units now, knowing that we have the big spell coming up for one of the follow-up turns. And so we'll hit with Norra, we'll hit with the Construct, we'll hit with the Elnick, but I'm going to leave the Lantern at home. I don't want to just trade it now with the Messenger. He's going to be reasonably powerful next turn.
This is the wrong path.
Rip Norra.
Can I paint you? Hold still.
Okay.
I spilled.
Trying to remember. I mean, I guess he has the opportunity to have just big invokes in his hand. I really wasn't watching in terms of what was happening with these Mountain Scryers, but I think it's okay. Where are we at? We got no portals in deck.
Watch them fly back into stars.
Not particularly worried about any of those cards. And another Spirit's Unleashed, spiking some level 2 champions into our deck. Don't mind if we do. Alright, get a little bit more of that growth factor. Drop in some Overwhelms next turn. I dig it. I dig it. So at this point, like, he can have reasonable cards off of this Invoke. As far as the units are, don't really care. He can hit a big elusive, and those aren't a problem. Supernova is kind of annoying, letting him come in and kill off 2 of our units. What is this attack? Does he just have a Pale Cascade in hand? Okay. Where are we at? We have 1 portal. Well, we don't have the mana to pokey stick. Incoming pack mentality, bro. Get ready. Get hype. Feeling good. What is this? What is this? 32 damage Overwhelm coming through? I don't know if it's enough for lethal, but without the pack mentality, we were definitely dealing 0 this turn. And so, get this nonsense out of here. Says, oh dang, Bust boomed me with the pack mentality. Feels good. Feels good. So is there anything in here we want to pop with the pie toss? I don't think so. We can get like an extra point of damage off of the pie toss. It doesn't deal damage to face. You have to get the level 2 spell to deal damage to face. But the thing that can be pretty important at these points is if he starts dropping the big spell shieldy, the big spell shieldy guys, then we can pop the spell shield with pie toss and then come in and harsh winds.
It chases the trickster.
How do we get one of those level 2 champions, though? Puts him at the bottom of the deck, huh? I don't think we're gonna draw him. I don't think it's in the cards today. We need something to shuffle our deck.
More hands make quick work.
The Troop of Elnix. Alright. Might be able to get this Rock Bear on board. So I think he just did the expensive one that makes his Celestials cost half. Is that right? Looked like he just spent a ton of mana. And Living Legends. Okay. See how RNGesus is feeling about today. This is like tried and true my problem with this deck, right? I've explained a lot of times why I don't really like this Celestials deck. You have to hit right now, right? He has to literally RNG something off of these 5 cards that are capable of winning the game, or this one's done. And a lot of times you're going to come in here and be like, oh, cool, I hit an Equinox, I hit a Messenger, I hit a just a massive pile of shit that doesn't matter. And no, it's a little telling to me that I just don't like it. I don't like it, guys. I'd rather just play cards that don't suck. So that's the way I describe it. Why not just play cards that don't suck? As we're out here playing pack mentality, right? Everybody's like, Bust is out here telling people to play cards that don't suck, and he's playing pack mentality. Alright, Cosmic Rays is fine. I don't think any of the cards coming out of this thing can kill us at this point. Like, I really want to get the troop on board because we need to be able to spend the mana the next turn. I guess at this point he can still play the Scourge, which is problematic. So I mean, we can take a 3-bank into next turn. All right, troop's safe now. We didn't hit any Elnix. Ooh, we shuffled our deck though. We can hit that level 2 champion. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. Just as planned. So we're not dead to this stuff, right? I don't think this deck plays Atrocity. Are we just dead? Hang on, we might just be dead. Maybe not. We got decent enough blocks. I didn't realize this guy was coming at us for 16. So can they hit us with Atrocity at this point? I mean, I'm not aware enough of this deck to know if they actually play it. Alright, things are starting to look like they're going downhill. Got to attack with everybody, guy. There you go. So this will be like 11, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. So going to get us for Exacties. I guess we should have gone with the Harsh Winds plan. Alright, that one's on me. I think that game was very winnable. It's just I was really wanting to be in the space to where I was wanting to be in the space to where we can play the Elnick and then go into next turn and both Portal Palooza and play the pack mentality, but got a little bit too greedy there. That's something I'd kind of figure out once we get another 40 or 50 games into that match. But GG to the opponent. On to the next one, up against Zoe Samira. I think this is the at some point in time there's been like a Plaza Guardian, the Targon Plaza Guardian deck. If that explains it well enough to where you're doing all the stuff that the Seraphine deck does, but you're using the targetable units to get copies of that big Arbiter of the Peaks. I think that's what's happening here, but I don't know. He's certainly doing a lot of Celestial stuff, so I'm not certain why he's playing Noxus or Norra, or Noxus or Samira. Trickster is annoying, but we can start to pop off a little bit next turn.
Well, aren't you the cutest thing of a D I ever did see?
Alright, let's unleash those spirits. Not going to be attacking with Norra this turn, but I'm fine to send everyone else in. It's not that big of a deal to be giving up a Gleaming Lantern this turn, especially if it's trading for the Trickster. As far as the other units go, we'll have to just give it a little bit of time. Send in here. So it's like, I could see an argument for opponent blocking here, but you don't always get a lot of blocks with the portal. I was kind of figuring we'd be able to go into this next turn and then just pie toss that unit away, and opponent would just take 3. But it's not the end of the world there. Got a couple options for this round. I'll start off with the Tea Maker. I'd like to see if opponent spends a little bit more mana, but we can look to pie toss and then pastry throw, whatever whatever level 2 is called, Perilous Pastry into the Trickster. Be Pale Cascades. It's not the end of the world or anything. Okay. We'll give it a minute. Like at some point, you have to decide: do I want to let Norra stick around as just a landmark, or do I want to really push in with her and try and get just this trade and fill out the board other ways? I don't think it's quite necessary to throw her away just yet. So I'm gonna Portal Palooza, then we'll send in the squad. Oh, did find another answer though. Sure. Spend that mana.
Protector, shield me.
Okay, so how we looking? We got 2 portals in the deck, 5 dudes on board against some Mountain Scryers. It's not that bad. I gotta figure out how, like, the lists on these dumb Zoe decks. It's like, if you're playing Mountain Scryer and planning on hitting the Invoke, how many are you realistically playing? Like, cards outside of the faction. It's tough for me to gauge. Like, if he's really just playing Samira, or if there's just like a bunch of stuff. Alright, so I think I'm just gonna pass it here. It's not horrible if we just lose out this used cast salesman. This is reasonable, I guess. Like, I don't want to really be invested in this Norra, but we'll see what happens.
Won't find better this side of the sun.
She is real close to flipping though. Got one tick away.
That's a pretty sparkle fly.
The messenger believes it chases the trickster.
Alright, opponent got a bunch of dudes on board. So let's send it in. I mean, it's like we have the harsh winds, but I don't think we really care about the trickster gaining 3, right? We're not going to lethal with just these 3 dudes on board. And so we'll just let this happen. And then we'll try and learn our mistake from that previous game, and we won't just we won't just throw our unit away. That's awkward. We picked up the Warden of the Tribes, but oh, he was off of the fish. Gotcha. I was like, why did Norra pick this guy up, but he doesn't cost 0? Ah, that was that other card. Looking pretty strong now, though. Alright, let's see if we can't learn from our mistake just a little bit. We add this guy. We'll still have 7 mana, right?
Like the dark.
So then we can play the Grandfather Fae for free. Okay, we don't need to pokey stick this now.
please.
Just the single attack, it's not even lethal. Like, I don't really care about losing Norra at this point. The question is, does he have anything in his deck that can kill us next turn? I don't think so. I mean, there's no ways to just, like, deal direct damage out of the Celestial cards. Okay. I'm going to allow it. So we'll add Grandfather Fae, we're going to add Portal Scholar, just swing with everybody. Should be enough. Like, I mean, his highest health unit now is the 6 health Cosmic Youngling, so we'll get at least 5 Trample End with Warden of the Tribes. Seems reasonable. Here they come. Did we do it? Looks lethal so far. That was enough. GG. We did it. On to the next one. Alright, next battle. See if we can't play against another Zoe deck. Maybe it'll at least beat Timo with this time, right? The elusive stuff. Alright. Seraphine Samira. See how the old Plaza Guardians are doing today. So with this, I'm fine to hang on to just Norra. I could see a touch of an argument for hanging on to Spirits Unleashed, but it strikes me as a little bit dangerous and want a little bit more interactivity or units just to throw down in the early game. It's like you got to worry about just dropping this Norra on 2 and having her just get smoked by Samira. So take it a touch slower. Now we have to run into this awkward spot where if he actually has the Samira, he gets a free kill. And then if he doesn't have Samira, his deck's just doing what it wants to do. And so, you know, I think the junk construct there is a fair risk. And that if he's going to have to spend all of his mana, we at least get a unit back out of it at the end of the day. And we don't just have to just be completely boned if he doesn't have it like he did in this case.
Take the shot or lose the chance.
All right, battle time. No, it's a spot to where it gets a little bit more interesting with the with this Spirits Unleashed. It's like being able to put this point of damage onto Samira is nice. We're too far away from actually group shotting her away, but you know, having her run around with 1 point of health does give us. Oh god! Whoa! What's going on? He didn't hook anything. You got me bamboozled, my dude. Well, let's just keep adding portals. I mean, maybe you'll get to come down and play at some point, Norra. But we got to be close to having a better Spirits Unleashed, right?
Help.
I think this is it. I was like, oh my god, you got to get a little scared when that Song Spinner comes down and Seraphine's off the board. It's not enough to let her flip right now, but he should be at like, he's played 3 spells, he's going to be up to 7 after the Song Spinner, so the Plaza Guardians are going to be getting pretty cheap. We can keep them at bay for a little bit, but definitely a little worried when they're able to kind of have free reign to pop off like this. In a swindle. So you know it's going to be group shot, Spirits Unleashed, Harsh Winds. There's no other swindles he can hit because we have the Norra in hand. I suspect that he would probably go for the Harsh Winds and then look to use it 2 turns from now if he needs to be a little defensive. Like, it's very easy for the Seraphine deck to be in the mindset that you know, if I don't die to this attack that's about to come at me, which is pretty easy to not die from, then I know that I can get multiple attacks in, because that Harsh Winds is going to shut down so many of our units.
Great.
We got Samira flips, and then he has a quicken on Seraphine.
Like it.
I think that's reasonable. We can't group shot any of this stuff away. Okay.
Blink and you'll miss me.
So many colors.
Okay. Not the strongest at pickups, but I mean, I don't think he can pop off on us this turn. Seraphine's close to flipping, but it doesn't strike me as a turn to where he's gonna be able to kill us. So I'm gonna look to Spirits Unleashed to play Norra, and then
I hear you,
next
son.
turn we're gonna
Now
look
you're
to
about hear
open
me.
with Portal Palooza and see how much damage we can do. Like a little worried how this is panning out. But he can't pop off this turn. He doesn't quite have the mana to do it. I guess though, I mean, like one Plaza Guardian with an iterative improvement is pretty scary. Getting to double the iterative improvement and have 3 Plaza Guardians on the board. We got 2 portals.
I see
Need a little help from Ari and Jesus here. Probably just dead with this one.
The suspense is terrible. I hope
Yeah, we drew a lantern. Did manage to hit 2 units. That's pretty cool. Planned it that way.
it's enough.
So we do actually get to present a lethal out here. Now, dude has a million cards in hand, so I don't think it's going to lethal too often. But one of the kind of perks is his removal is all going to be damage based, and so we might be able to troll chant out of something. Nope, he had the Harsh Winds. Sad day.
A duet? Heck yeah.
Not a bad collection of dudes on board, though. Wonder why. This had to have just been a mistake, right? He hit the Bulwark instead of the Deadbloom Wanderer. So now we gained a bunch of health and still have a lifesteal unit on board. Interesting. And Pablo. What a spike in Pablo when we have a group shot in hand. That's pretty cool. Can also make a strike with the Deadbloom Wanderer to do some lifesteal. We have 3 units with impact. That's a pretty big hit with old Pablo there.
Don't have to be sharp to make a point.
Alright, we can start with this. We can still pretty easily refill the board even if he has ways to interact with this, but at the end of the day, we'd really like him to just be spending a bunch of mana on stuff that isn't Plaza Guardians. And, you know, if he can't, like, take the moment to get his units on board because he has to spend a bunch of mana on other stuff, then that's, you know, pretty good for us. So it's like if he naturally plays 1 or 2 Plaza Guardians, it is what it is. But if he has to spend all of his iterative improvement mana on other stuff, and he can't get that full combo going, then that's where we start to have a shot. I don't think he was gonna like seeing us drop a pack mentality on the next turn either, though, and so we had a bit more going for us. All right, though. GG. Into the next one. And it's Zoe again. Isn't this the guy we just played, but he switched decks? I think that's what happened. But the opening hand had no answers to Zoe, no early game plays, pretty easy mulligan. So we can stop her for a turn. Just if he has her in the opening hand, we can't pokey stick her down till a turn later. That's okay. We'll try to be a little bit more mindful with our flash freezes this time and not get killed by 16 attack overwhelm units and see if we can't do anything that way.
Trickster never loses because Zoe makes the rules.
All right, the pie toss is in. She's the main way you actually lose this game. I had to really edit the deck quite a bit to pay full knowledge and awareness to Zoe, in the sense that whenever she flips, your opponent just wins the game, and so I had to edit our strategy just a little bit to handle that. But this is fine. It feels reasonable just to take the bank for our spell mana and get the junk construct and Tea Maker in over the course of the next few turns. Not like that 2 damage on the previous turn just isn't super relevant in this match. So I think we'll get quite a bit of time here to build up. Opponent's dropping all these 1-healthers on the board, so we're definitely going to get a good Spirits Unleashed in this upcoming turn. Now the question is, do we want to lead in with the Tea Maker and potentially bait out another unit, or do we want to start in with the Spirits Unleashed so that the Tea Maker has the extra health? And I think I'm okay to just go ahead and lead with it and get the extra health on the Tea Maker. It's not a giant collection of units that we're going to actually be able to hit on the board, and he's not just going to slap Zoe on the board, so I think that's okay.
Only a fool would enter battle unprepared.
This guy. We have so many 1-damage pings in hand. Alright, we'll wait. I don't think we need to be in too big of a hurry. Now he does have Zoe. He had all of the 1-health bros to put on the board. Right, let's go ahead and get involved. I was leaning towards, like,
Cannot hold us down.
you know, we have like reasonable card draw and stuff in hand. We can stall this out a little bit, but it's like we're so close to just popping off in this game. Like, we have 2 portals in deck. We've already dropped our Spirits Unleashed. We're gonna cycle a bit more with these pokey sticks. Just I don't want to take it too slow. It's never going too slow when you got a pack mentality. Yeah, you gotta remember that.
Constellations are stars in the sky.
Alright, don't need to rush through this. We're not gonna have raid attacks this turn. Oh, it's a pretty interesting spike with the Cater Mobile. So let's add in the Grandfather Fae. The Hungry Owlcat's also got a 1-coster onto the Cater Mobile. We'll get a bunch of attacks in this turn. That was a pretty big spike and a pretty good draw on the Grandfather Fae. Y'all ready for it? You ready to get mental? Who out here is ready to get mental with this pack mentality? We're losing 1 unit. I don't think it's probably worth the 3 sisters. Then we'll go ahead and drop the mentality. He does. This is probably not enough for a lethal. This is gonna be a little bit short, but it should be clearing out his board. And if we're gonna like really keep in mind the way we want this game to be going, is we need to save this 3 sisters and this perilous pastry to pop spell shields and really limit the opposing like just big plays. and then 2 turns from now we're going to be at 8 mana dropping Warden of the Tribes. And so we're not going to be able to pack Mentality on our next attack token if we drop the Warden. And this should hopefully get us in a spot to where you can have an answer for the Warden, or you can have an answer for our Width, but you don't have an answer to both. That's what we're going to be trying to pull off in this space.
I know these paths well.
Joy is a good look in a book and a cat in the lap.
Well, he's got all the invokes. Definitely going to be big coming in soon.
Each journey is a discovery.
So do we want to, is it too greedy to take this Moon Dreamer off of the board? Like, what can go wrong next turn? It's like if he has Supernova, then that's going to cost all of his mana and we'll be okay. It just strikes me as him being so far away from actually doing anything with his big invoke cards. I think this is good to just get rid of the unit.
Something approaches.
Night
He's getting wise to what's going on, huh? he says Busta's coming at me. I better get some blockers on board. Can't wait to find out if this deck plays the Ruination. I can't imagine that it plays the Ruination, but I guess it's not completely off the table. Alright, GG. On to the next one. We'll get one more in. We usually shoot for 8, but these Norra games take forever to play, and so getting pretty close to that hour mark. I think we'll be good to go after one more game. Very good stuff though. Those pack mentalities, right? That's what life's all about. Who else is topping that ladder with the pack mentality, huh? All right, though, into Ezreal Seraphine. I think this is an okay keep with Norra Gleaming Lantern. It's just like I like the idea of just taking it slow with Norra and not having her get popped by Mystic shots, and so it's like you can Spirits Unleashed into that, but like that's just such a slow game plan against this deck that just wants to take forever anyways, that it doesn't strike me as being enough. Let's start with Junk Construct though. He's gonna have access to his Mystic shots and high notes and everything. Let's at least try and bait a little bit out with the Junk Construct. Alright. Get baited, bro. That's what you're supposed to say, right? Got baited. So here, this is tough. In that kind of same vein as that last turn. Like, losing our Gleaming Lantern kinda sucks here, but we just get to pop off so hard next turn if he doesn't have the removal. It's very easy for him to have the removal, but it should take a ton of mana to do at least. Alright. A little bit tougher guy to deal with the big stats on the 4 more Yordle, freshly Fey. We got 2 portals in deck. Alright. It's up to 3 targets and 3 spells. Now it's Norra time.
Around the portal.
Ooh, we get to untap. It's a little bit of a win in the sense that we have 3 sisters mana, but I don't think it was that great of a that great of a bonus. It's almost tempting here to, like, you can strike the Nexus. That would be a realistic option, but I want the stats on the dragon. I was going to say it is a thought of potentially just striking Norra and then playing the other Norra in our hand, but I think that's probably a little greedy. I think we can all agree on that one. This is the turn you want to see the Fury of the North, though. Let us get that extra combat damage in while we protect. You don't want to play it on your opponent's turn if you can get away from it. Get excited. Discarding Piltovan Telstones. Hi. Got one portal left in the deck. Got 0 portals left in the deck. It's always interesting with the Monkey Idol. It's not a great hit in the sense it doesn't do anything immediately, but it does generate a bunch of units, which can then support the Norra, right? These additional summons from the Monkey Idol helping her level up.
Don't blink or you'll miss me.
Norra's everywhere.
Ooh, the suspense is terrible. I hope it lasts.
Ooh, we got a sneezy big ol' dust in the party. Let's just keep going. Do we actually want to spend the physical Norra? Probably not. She's too close to being good. Missed with that one.
Step lively.
Then we do get the extra dragon, right? We do. Okay.
By hook or by crook.
Ooh, that's another summon for a Norra flip. Man. Feels good. Feels good. Good job, old Sneezy.
Me gauntlet.
Getting pretty close to the lethal. I mean, I have to imagine he has a tough time handling this 10 damage from the Mumble sprites. Ooh, that's a good Hex Obliterator. I was gonna say, it's like if we still get to deal the 10 damage and take him to 4, he's gonna take 1 from the Powder Monkey to 3. We'll get an additional Powder Monkey later to take him to 2, and then we do have 3 points of burn in hand. Seems legit. Now the big boys coming in, the big portal bros. Shark Trainer ready to party. Not gonna have time to drop that back alley bar. I wonder if this is a prankster deck and not a back alley bar deck. I hate all of them either way. either way, I don't want to see either of them. But so let's do this. We're gonna just be open attacking next turn. Let's just drop as many portals as we can and try and hit some of these big units. Right? We hit a rando 5/5 thing. Now we've hit the king. So I'm going to add in Portal Scholar. I'm going to overwrite the monkey with Jarvan, and then the Powder Monkey will die at the end of the turn, and we'll have a shot to hit another portal unit next turn. Hopefully fill out the board. Well, we can fill out the board with the Shark Trainer. Make sure we hang on to that one spell mana.
Find him.
I've messed this up so many times with Shark Trainer. You have to have a literal spell mana to spend on this thing. You can't do it with regular mana.
Hand me my blade.
Alright, meaty squad coming in. That's enough. GG. Not a bad set of games. And so 4-2 record, not bad. One of those games we punted all on our own. The bust generated misplays causing some problems, and so not a bad day for the old Norra deck. We can pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. And so I think we hit, the majority of the stuff that's really happening in this format right now. And so this is a deck to where with these Norra decks, they're great against the aggro decks as your opponent's trying to slam at you with pirates. Just getting all of the unit generation and cheap removal is usually enough to stymie them. It can be okay against the mid-rangey style decks. If we get to pop off a Spirits Unleashed and then just generate a bunch of units, we may not have units immediately bigger than our opponents, but the unit generation turn after turn after turn tends to be enough to eventually overwhelm them. And then the spaces to where we have trouble are the control decks that are are just slower than us. So a deck like Ryze, as we played earlier, decks that are trying to just get to turn 10 and play Karma tend to be pretty problematic as well. We just can't kill them fast enough to do big and powerful things, and then their big and powerful things are more powerful. And then the space I wanted to talk about that didn't really turn up today is the other thing that's good against us is what I call the brawler decks, the big overwhelmed decks, the Varus based decks. And so like Action Varus is very popular right now. Things like Action Lee Sin, and then decks with say Feel the Rush in it that just put 2-10-10 overwhelms onto the board. Those are where the problems can really arise. And what I like about this deck in the sense that we do have a few ways to deal with that between the Harsh Winds and the Three Sisters. And so that was the kind of like last point to cover off on that didn't really turn up. But, you know, it's kind of easy to imagine a format to where decks like this are just exceptionally strong in the sense that you're good against aggro, good against mid-range. You can grind a little bit against the control decks. And as long as you aren't playing against brawlers, you tend to be in pretty good shape as a ladder grinder. And so, all in all, I've been pretty happy with this. This is as control decky as you're going to see Bust put on the table. You know, if you want to see Bust play a control deck, it's going to have Pack Mentality and Warden of the Tribes in it. And take that however you want in terms of control decking. But I think this deck's in a pretty good space. It's pretty fun, and it should be pretty good for you in terms of ladder or even in best of 3. It has a lot of interesting options and capabilities there. And so, good stuff. Not a bad set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. So this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.